So here's a trick for new players. First of all, always get the sun behind the camera. And the second thing is, always turn the camera on if you're going to do a little drive-by shoot, which I forgot to do. So I've just been up and down the road and I've fiddled with hard enough. I was going to put the drone up, but I've decided just the way it's packed, it's a little awkward. I've got to think about a new way of doing it. So until then, I'll just do drone shots when I get to places, which I haven't been doing, but I want to do more. Because I bought the bloody drone, didn't I? Got to use it. Anyway, back on the road. Nomads everywhere. Look at them all. There's another one. I'll be passing him in a minute. So I ended up having breakfast with Will. So he's on his way already. So I've got to go and catch him up. Now I've got everything on. Everything's zipped up. My phone. So welcome back. The plan today is to head out of Croydon. I've left fairly early and head towards Corumba, but I've planned for a side journey to Burke and Wills Camp 19, or maybe it was 119 actually by memory. And it's the last camp they did before Burke and Wills himself leaving King and one other behind at Camp 119. Made a dash for the coast. They took provisions and horses for 3 days and departed and came back within that period, being unsuccessful. They came across mangroves, and apparently in Burke's journal they could hear the ocean but they never saw it. So I pulled over at Blackpool, which is a midpoint on the Normanton Croydon Golflander Rail or Heritage Rail. A very interesting railway line and a testament to some of the early style of thinking of the European settlers. Initially, it was a desire to have a port on the Gulf of Carpentaria to speed up access to the markets in Asia and also getting closer to the UK and their markets. And so several attempts were made to get this Normanton to the coast type railway. There was also an earlier sort of idea of getting a railway down towards Cloncurry Way, and I think that's where the first railway was started. And so nobody really gave much attention to Croydon until gold was found there, and that changed everything. And so the railway design or ideal was to get from Normanton to the coast towards Cairns through Croydon, because Croydon had gold, and it got to Croydon and stopped. And at the height of the gold rush around Croydon, they had 6,000 people living in that town, and I'd say there's probably only 60 living there at the moment, plus the grey nomads, which were aplenty. But yeah, that kind of finally explains the whole Golflander railway line, because it goes from nowhere and comes to nowhere sort of thing. It's a really odd railway line, but it keeps going. So I think today it runs twice a week. It runs from Normanton to Croydon on a Wednesday, and it comes back on the Thursday, and it's quite expensive, but I do believe it's quite an experience as well. So they do a really good job in really giving their paying passengers a really good time. Anyway, from here, or from there, after talking to Steve, who's cycling around the Australian continent, he's using erg power instead of fossil fuel power, and catching up with Will to say hello. I set off. I've sat with Steve for about an hour just chatting about his journeys and how he's been going, and he had an interesting journey. It's been interrupted by COVID, so he's doing the Australia circumnavigation in three phases. So he's completed 2 phases, and this is his last phase, which was Cairns to Perth. So he should be, by the time I'm putting this whole thing together, the video together, he should be somewhere around Catherine or perhaps even Darwin by now, perhaps even a little bit closer. So from here, I've headed out. I've arrived on the Cloncurry Normanton Road, and I've turned off on the highway, the Burke Road, to head towards Burke and Wills' camp 119. always wanted to come here, apart from the dig tree. So this is Burke and Wills' last camp. The golf's not very far away, it's speculative, I guess, if they made it or not. Maybe this site will provide some more information on that, but we're just going to go and have a look. So the country's really hard. Yeah, you can see that. Yeah, it's actually harder than it looks then from the road. It's more matching what I was expecting to be candid. It would have been really, really hard for Europeans who don't know how to live off this country. The fact they did no research in relation to that before embarking on such a trip is, you know, understandable for the times, but in hindsight, very poor. And I think at the time that was, you know, in the aftermath, it was really sort of felt that they had not done enough preparation work, or the plan was flawed. And certainly if they had gone as far east as they went south from here, they would have come into better land, better water, and more Europeans, potentially. Yeah, interesting. Not sure this pond was there or here then. Suspecting that's more recent times, although it looks natural enough. So it is the most northerly camp, which is cool because I've been at the start. I've actually been to where they started from in Melbourne. There's crocodiles here, as you'd expect. Oh, I didn't know that. That's awesome. That's amazing. So this site is lifted since it's actually taller, it's higher because of silt from various floods. So it won't look the same. Similar, but not the same. The sign back there said the billabong's still there, but everything else is not. Well, that's not true. The billabong's still there. The major features will still be there, but subtle ones like the tree where they scarred the tree, some of those have disappeared, and others are only just above the ground level now because the ground level's moved up. Fascinating. And there's crocodiles. Did I mention that? Well, there you go. That's Burke and Wills Camp 119. Interesting. They made a dash for the coast over a 2 or 3 day period. They only had provision for 3 days and didn't make it. They were stopped by mangroves and swamps and things, and it was the height of the rainy season too, which made traversing here extremely difficult. So, what a shame. I mean, the story of them coming back is well known. I mean, they died of malnutrition, not necessarily starvation, but malnutrition. And the slight distinction there is they didn't have the necessary nutrients. In fact, one of the statements there was attributed to Wills in his journal, saying, you know, we're fed, you know, we're not hungry, we're not dying from hunger, we're dying from malnutrition. They were also accidentally poisoning themselves with some of the plants that the Aborigines used that they'd picked up, but they weren't treating them properly or cooking them properly. That's down by Cooper's Creek. But, yeah, just it's interesting that they had just about every profession with them that they would need for a trip like this, and the only thing they lacked was frontier experience. Just amazing. Oh, there's another side to this. Oh, that's why they went looking for him. Wow. That was the rescue operation. Well, this is really strange. I just had my GoPro with a media mod, and it's got a little boom cover, like microphone cover, and I've dropped it. And you think in red, black would stand out, but I have no idea. In fact, I only had it just down there and it was on. So I have no idea where it's got to, but you know, it's one of life's little mysteries. So it's still giving this trip, but you know, I don't give a shit because they're replaceable, so no dramas for me. The only other thing I did is I did up my tank bag and forgot to put my hat away, but that's a quick matter of just unzipping, shoving, closing again. That's just freaking bizarre. Bizarro. Who'd have thought? Anyway, that was Burke and Wills camp. It now has one of my bits and pieces to go along with the history of the place. So, you know, happy with that, I guess. Yeah, and I'll get going. I might just loop back and it might be it might be on the bike somewhere, I don't know. That's just crazy. Can't find it. It's like, you know, literally only from there to here I would have lost it, unless, you know, like an animal of some sort scurried off with it. Maybe that's the case. Anyway, it's gone, so we don't worry about it, we move on. It is infinitely replaceable. I believe you can actually just order them online. And it's only there to, you know, stop wind noise, and won't be using it in that context, but it's just annoying. It's got to be here somewhere, right? I was standing there chatting away. I swear it was on there, or it could be between. Oh, who knows? That's life. How bizarre. river that they would have had next to it, and it's riddled with crocodiles apparently, although I've seen none today. Nice and safe.
scale. You see my bike.